Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to start right at 11 o'clock, but my Wi-Fi wasn't working very well, so I just switched to data. Anyways, good morning. It's Monday. This is Natalie Hoffman with flyingfreenow.com. And I hope you guys can hear me and see me. Are you guys there? Hi, Amy. Okay, we're going to mix it up just a little bit today. And I'm going to save my personal stuff for the end of the video in case, because, there's very possibly people who are interested in hearing about anything about my personal life. And I get that. I totally get that. So we're going to start with the little thing that I want to talk about, our topic for today, and then I'll share the personal stuff at the end. All right. So first of all, I want to talk about Facebook. Okay, so if you're on Facebook, and since you're watching this video, you are, and if you have a pulse, then you've probably noticed how polarizing Facebook has gotten lately. It is so stressful. I can't even read so much of what's on Facebook lately. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's feeling this way. What I'm seeing is a longtime family and friends all of a sudden getting really upset about a lot of things. And not just getting upset, but showing a side of their character that you might never have believed could be there. And so, and it's all kinds of different, there's so many things going on in our world today. There's whether or not you should wear a mask, whether or not you should support Black Lives Matter, whether or not you should support Trump, whether or not you should, the whole thing, okay? So you literally can't get on Facebook nowadays without seeing that everybody's having a cow, all right? It's literally a bovine farm out there on Facebook. All right, and it feels yucky. There's so much negative energy. So what if you don't want to get off Facebook altogether? Because I really don't. I use Facebook to connect with people, and I don't want to, even though I don't want all of that negative energy coming into my personal life, I also don't want to get off Facebook. So how can we think about this? Because really, our emotions come from what we're thinking about things. They don't come from the things that are happening out there. Our feelings come from what we are thinking about what's happening out there. All right, which is great news because we can't control anything that's going on out there, but we can control the universe between our ears, right? Our brains. All right, so since my audience is largely women of faith, that's the segment of society that I'm going to be speaking to, okay? I'm going to start by saying this. One of the most transformative things that I've ever done in my life was read through the Gospel of John numerous times one year. So what I mean by that is that all I would do is, and this is when I was going through a time of everything in the Bible was triggering me because the Bible had been used for so long. I had formerly loved the Bible, read through it bazillions of times in the course of my lifetime. Was like if you looked at my 30 journals over the course of my lifetime, you would see bazillions of Bible verses, tear-stained pages. The Word of God was my everything. But it had also been used to control me and as a weapon really to shame me and control me. So I went through a period of time where I held the Bible at arm's length. Not because I didn't love the Bible, but because I needed a break from all of the bad messages that I was getting that were in my head, that had been downloaded into my psyche from all of the religious people in my life. And I needed to somehow separate my relationship with Jesus Christ from this kind of law-based worldview. All right, so what I decided to do was read the Gospel of John. I wanted to really know Jesus because I figured if I had to throw everything else out about my faith, I didn't know if I wanted to throw out Jesus. So I read the Gospel of John. I would start at the beginning of the book, just read a couple chapters every night. And then when I finished the book, then I would just start at the very beginning and just start all over again. Now, the first few times that I read through it, it was like, yeah, I read all this before. I've got this whole book memorized practically, right? But then as I kept reading it, this amazing thing started happening, and I started noticing things that I had never noticed before, because my brain got past all of the noise, and I started seeing things about the culture that Jesus was living in, the ways he responded to different kinds of people, the ways he responded to the different thoughts that were going on in that time in history. And I think what I did is I began to start seeing things with my heart instead of just with my intellect, okay? And one of the things that shifted within me was this realization that Jesus gave all the humans, freedom. He gave them freedom to make their own choices. He never once exercised power and control over anybody. All right? When people asked him, he did exercise, he exercised power and control over himself. That's it. He let everyone else make their own choices. When people would come to him and ask him for help, he would help them. When they scorned him, he didn't scorn them back. He said nothing. He would just turn around and help someone else who wanted it. He didn't argue with anybody. He simply stated his truth, what was true, and then he moved on. He didn't wait around to see, to check and see if anyone believed him or not, to see if anyone would do what he recommended that they do, to see if anyone liked him or gave him a heart. He didn't do that. He just loved them unconditionally, right where they were at in their life. It didn't matter if they had been caught sleeping with another person, or if they had been a child that was dancing and singing a song around him. Didn't matter. He loved them. And I learned that love, if that's love, which I believe it is, the Bible says that God is love. Like, he is the essence of love. So if Jesus Christ is God's son, then we can expect that the way Jesus interacted on the planet is what love is. That's the epitome of love. So if love means letting other people make choices and live their own lives in freedom, and if they choose to walk away, then love means letting them walk away. All right? Love means helping people who ask us for help. Another thing I noticed about Jesus is that he was what really got him going. He had all the emotions that we have, okay? What really got him going and what made him say some pretty harsh things were the religious leaders of the day. And he would upset them because he did not follow their rules. He didn't follow all their rules. He lived by the law of love, all right? And love takes a hell of a lot more wisdom and discernment and Holy Spirit living inside of you and living within you and spilling out of you than just living by a bunch of black and white rules that make us comfortable. The black and white rules make us comfortable, especially if they serve us on a personal level, right? And, and everyone's got their own black and white rules, depending on what helps them out and what makes their life comfortable. And if you don't listen to their black and white rules, they need to set you straight, because now your life is making them uncomfortable and that doesn't feel good to them. And their life is all about making them feel good. And that includes the black and white rules. Okay? So some people live like the devil and that makes them feel comfortable. And some people live like they think they're living like God and that makes them comfortable. But they're all falling off the horse they're just falling off two sides of the horse. All right, so let's talk about Jesus on Facebook, okay? Because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, well, okay, because for my own life, all right, I started off on Facebook several years ago, and I admit I was on there stating my truth and believing that everyone should believe my truth. Everyone should believe everything the way I believed it. And I wanted them to, because that would help them. That was how I was going to help them. So I've had to do a lot of growing in this area. I've had to be corrected. I've had to correct myself. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. And also, I've been very observant now. I've learned to kind of sit back and observe what people, especially since that time, since I joined Facebook prior to my getting out of my abusive relationship. But since that time, I've done a lot of learning about what abuse is and how it looks like, what verbal abuse is, what emotional abuse is. And there is a lot of verbal and emotional abuse on Facebook. Even, I'm sorry, but even from survivors, we've all learned well how to do this, all right, to other people, and it protects ourselves. Wrong. This is not serving us, okay? It's not serving us, it's not serving other people, and it's certainly not serving our cause. If we want to actually love people and bring a sense of getting away from the whole power and control thing, it has to start with ourselves. When we are truly free, that's what people will be drawn to. They will want to be free like that. Not when we are condemning and pointing out, whatever. All right. So anyway, let's get back to what Jesus would be like on Facebook, because I thought this was a fascinating thing. And you can think about this more on your own, because I'm sure you'll come up with a lot more ideas. But I don't think that Jesus would be running around, and I base this on the Gospel of John, okay? So if you're thinking, well, I think he would be doing that, then I just encourage you to go ahead and read the Gospel. Do what I did. Take a whole year, read the Gospel of John over and over again, and then at the end of that year, then you can decide for yourself if you think Jesus would be doing these things or not. But I don't think, based on my reading, that he would be running around making sure that everybody that's a Facebook friend of his knows exactly where he stands on all the issues. I can't see him doing that, okay? I can't see him trying to make sure that everyone believed him and not the devil. All right? I can't see that, let's see. I wrote some notes here and I lost track of where I am. I don't think that that's how he would demonstrate his love for people. And I think that that's what Jesus sees. When we see someone commenting on Facebook, I'm just going to tell you what I see. Maybe I'm the only one, but I think a lot of us see this. I see an avatar, an impersonal avatar saying something that pisses me off. That's what I see. But you know what Jesus would see if he was on Facebook? I really believe that he would see a human being. He would see all of their history and all of their experiences. He would see them as a child growing up and all the things that they've gone through, all the things that they've overcome. He would see their victories and their failures, and he would just be loving all of them right where they were at. He doesn't react to people. He doesn't react to avatars on Facebook the way we do. And I think that's the difference between us and God. And you guys, that's okay. There should be a huge, difference between us and God. He's our creator. And we have to, and we can admire those differences, and we can aspire to be like Jesus while also holding space for the fact that we're not going to be like him all the time. All right. Now, I don't honestly know if Jesus would actually be on Facebook if he lived here in this time in history. I'm thinking he might be busy hanging out with just a couple friends at the bar. All right. If we go by the Gospels, okay? That's not just in my imagination. But let's just pretend for a minute that Facebook is our only world, that all of life is lived on Facebook. That someone should make like a Disney movie about that or something. I think there is a movie out. I feel like I saw an advertisement for some movie that's where everyone's living online. But anyway, just say that Facebook is the world, okay? And now enter Jesus. What would his character be like on Facebook? You guys, his character would be like it is now. All right, it would be the same, or like it's always been. He would be giving all the humans freedom to do and say whatever they chose to do and say. And he wouldn't be trying to convince everyone that he was right and they were wrong, because that's not the point. That's not the point of our existence, to say you're wrong and I'm right. All right? His point, the point of his existence here on earth, was all about revealing God's love to the people, to all humans. And I think that he would be saying things on Facebook about that, about loving the peoples of the earth, regardless of how old they are, their placement, either in the womb or outside of the womb, their race, their gender, what illnesses they have, their mental capacity, their physical fitness level, their size, their level of productivity, their social status, their accomplishments, their financial status, and so forth. He does not discriminate. He loves all of his creation. So I see him speaking truth that sets people free. What I don't see him doing is getting on Facebook and shaming people. I don't see him getting into arguments and going tit for tat back and forth and calling people names. I don't see him assuming wrong motives in people and then condemning everyone who disagrees with him. I just see him speaking truth and maybe asking questions of people and then listening to what they are saying. I see him answering questions that people ask of him, but I don't see him engaging in arguments. And I want to be more like that, you guys. I want to be more like that. I've had to do so much inner soul searching and looking back at the things that I've written. And sometimes we can't erase the things that we've written. And sometimes I don't even want to, because I want people to know I'm human and I make mistakes. And I don't always show up in the way that I want to. But you know what? I learn from those mistakes. We can all learn from our mistakes. We can look back and see the things that we've written and we can say, you know, if I were to do that over again, here's how I think I would respond differently. Do you know why Jesus doesn't have to argue and win people over to his side and get everyone to agree with him? Because he is perfectly whole himself. He does not need the approval or the agreement of anybody else. He doesn't need people to believe what he says is true. He doesn't need to shame anybody so that he can feel better about who he is as God and what he stands for. So what can we do when someone is posting? Now I'm going to get practical, okay? When someone is posting on their own wall, their own Facebook wall, something that we disagree with. So you will be scrolling through your Facebook feed and all of a sudden you see a post that you don't agree with. Okay, and I won't give any examples here. I could throw out a lot of examples and then half of you guys would stop watching and then the other half would, and then a whole bunch other people would start watching. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not going to do that. But what would Jesus do? If he was scrolling through and he saw someone say something that wasn't, true. Let's say that he saw someone write, Satan is God. Okay? And Jesus is like, well, that's not true. I'm God. Okay? I'm actually not going to tell you what Jesus would do. What I want you to do is go read the Gospel of John and find out for yourself. What would Jesus do? All you have to do is find out what Jesus did and what Jesus did when people would do and say things in their own homes that ran contrary to what Jesus was teaching. Okay? So, because think about it. Your Facebook wall and my Facebook wall is our personal jurisdiction. You don't have to let anybody into your Facebook wall that you don't want to. You can block people. You can set up settings in your Facebook that only lets in a certain number of people. You can be very selective about what friends you allow watch. You can set your settings so your posts are always private. So a Facebook wall is it's like someone's house. All right? And you've been welcomed. If you can see what they've posted, you've actually been welcomed into their world. And they don't have to welcome you. So you're in their yard. So how do we think about how we behave when we're in someone else's home or in someone else's yard and they say something that we don't agree with? Now, hold on a second. I lost my track of my notes again. Okay, so here's another example. What can we do when someone assumes something untrue about us? Well, let me back up. What do we do when we see something? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I get talking and then I completely lose track of my thoughts. Okay, what I wanted to say then next is then what would we do if we see people posting on our walls, okay? So let's say that we've posted something, we believe that Jesus is God, and they post, no, Satan is God. I'm just giving like really, polarized black and white thinking here, because that's what people are doing anyway. But, all right. So someone comes onto your wall, and you just posted something that they disagree with, and they start picking a fight with you, and they say that you are a this, and you're a that, and you're the other thing, and they've got all these labels for you because you posted this thing on your wall. What would Jesus do? So let's say that someone think about what Jesus would do when people came up to his face and got in his personal space and said, who do you think you are? You're actually the son of Beelzebub, and started plucking the hairs from his beard and slapping him and spitting in his face and hauling him off to get crucified, or chasing him down to the hill to throw him off the edge of the cliff. Those are all things that happened to him. Well, what did Jesus do when they did that? If you don't know, you need to go read the Gospel of John and find out. And then how can we respond on our Facebook walls when people are doing that? All right. Now, I have found that my faith is so much more simple when I just boil it down to Jesus. And that's what I've done. We have to remember that Jesus lived in a world full of turmoil as well. There was racism, there was baby sacrifice, there was illness, tremendous amounts of illness that they didn't have modern technology to fix. If this plague, this pandemic swept through that world, there would be no way of protecting themselves, and there would be no way of helping people get better in hospitals. There was hate. There was rape. There was the overthrow of territories and governments and countries. There was oppression. There was genocide. Every single thing we see today in our world, that it was in our world back then too. He lived in that world for 33 years. So this is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. We're not living in these unprecedented times like some people think. He did not come to overthrow governments. That's what the people wanted him to do. The Jewish people wanted him to overthrow the Roman government. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to kill him. Because they're like, hey, if you don't do what we say you should do, then you are not who you say you are. He still loved them. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. They have no idea what they're doing. If we're his followers, do we have to do that? No. No, we don't have to live like that. We get to decide. We get to decide. I get to decide if I want to live like that. You get to decide if you want to live like that. You have no control over my decision. I have no control over your decision, nor should we. All right? And that's all I have for you for today, as far as that goes. So if you want to hear a little bit about my personal life, I'm reading a lot. I'm not going to walk around right now because there's some chaos going on in my home, but I am reading books about bones these days. All right, books about bones. And I'm also trying to figure out my finances. I think a lot of us are trying to figure that out right now. So my husband's been out of work for several months, and just having a really hard time finding work. So I'm trying to figure out what, just finances and how to protect ourselves. I am reading about bones because I have osteoporosis. I talked about that last time. What am I doing? I am writing essays. You guys, I love music, okay? But here's my problem. I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I get really into an artist, and then and it's really hard for me to get into an artist. Like, I don't really, unless a song just draws me in, it takes me a while to like an artist. So I might hear a really good song. Like, for example, today I heard a song, oh gosh, I'm going to forget her name. It's called Story, I think, or Stories. What is her name? I can't remember her name. Anyway, I loved the song. So I went and looked at her other music, and I'm like, oh, do I have to get to know a new artist? What if I don't like her other songs? So when I love an artist, I listen to them for years. It's so dumb. I just listen to them for years. So Sarah Bareilles is my favorite artist of all time. I think she always will be. I don't think anyone's ever going to top her, but her music got me through my whole separation, my whole divorce, my whole remarriage, and even now as she continues to write new music, I'm still finding songs of hers that resonate even with my current life. So I decided to write, it's a little bit like a memoir, but it's with the backdrop of Sarah Bareilles' songs. And I'm putting it on my blog for people to read. So it's going to be a little bit of my story. You'll get to see a little bit of insight into my whole process of getting out of my abusive relationship. But I'm going to use Sarah's songs to give you a little inside peek into each little aspect of my getting out of that relationship and starting my life over again. So last week I started it, and I'm going to do this every Friday on my blog. So I started on, and if you're not a subscriber and you want to get these in your mailbox, all you have to do is go to my blog, which is flyingfreenow.com. Right at the top, you can just fill in your email address and your first name and click hop on board or whatever it says, and then I will just send you a notification that the newest release is out. So anyway, I started last week with what was it? Brave. I started last week with Brave, and this week I'm going to be writing about King of Anything. And so anyway, I'm having a lot of fun dreaming about that and thinking about doing that. And yeah. All right. I'm also active in 2 private groups that I run. Some of you know about the Flying Free group. And then I'm also currently developing a program called Flying Higher, which is going to be for divorced women. It's going to open up in January of 2021. And we are starting a weight loss. We're just ending our first course in Flying Higher, which was all about, it was all about casting off the addiction to abuse, okay? And that's going to be the end of abuse. We're not going to talk about abuse anymore in that group. But we started off with a 3-month course on deprogramming from your addiction from abuse, because these are divorced women, okay? And yet we're still kind of, what we're doing is we're abusing ourselves now. We're done with our abuser, now we're just abusing ourselves. So we did 3 months of that. Then we're going to do a weight loss. We're going to do 3 months of weight loss. And it's not just going to be about weight loss, it's going to be about entering into uncomfortable feelings and processing feelings that we don't like, and that make us have vibrations in our body that make us want to eat, or that make us want to drink, or that make us want to, do whatever that we do to buffer. All right. So we're going to be doing that in Flying Higher. And if you are interested in that, if you're headed for divorce and you think that might be something that you want to do, then you definitely want to be on my mailing list for sure, because I will let you know when that opens up. I'll let everyone on my mailing list know. People in Flying Free will get a discount for that Flying Higher group too. So just, if you're in Flying Free, that'll be one of your many perks. And it's going to be a very significant discount. And then the last thing I want to share with you is that I watched Hamilton this weekend with my family. I don't know if any of the rest of you guys had a chance to watch it. I think it's only on Disney Plus. But so 2 years ago, my daughter graduated from high school, and instead of having a high school party, she wanted to go to New York and see a Broadway show. That was her dream. And so my new husband at the time and I took her to New York, and we saw Dear Evan Hansen, and it was phenomenal. And what we had been originally looking at possibly seeing Hamilton, but the tickets for that were like astronomically high. I really wanted to see Hamilton, but we saw Dear Evan Hansen. It was I'm so glad we saw it. If you have a chance, I don't know if it's still going, but anyway, it was great. But When I found out that Hamilton was going to be on Disney Plus, I was literally jumping out of my skin. So my kids and I watched it. The two little boys didn't like it very much, but my 12-year-old girl and my 14-year-old girl loved it, and they're going to be watching. They want to watch it again. I want to watch it again. So good. So highly recommend that if you can. It's worth it. I think it's like $7 to get a subscription, maybe, or maybe I'm not sure, but it's definitely. Trust me, it was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a ticket to this thing. And you can see the Broadway right on your TV screen, and it's phenomenal. And that's it. That's all I have for you today. So let me just, I don't usually go through the comments on here, and I probably should, but what I do is I try to post these on, I'm posting these on YouTube when I'm done here, so people over there can see this. Or people can watch the replay. All right, I don't see any comments I don't see any questions or anything, but no, it's not Laura's Story. I think the song is called Story, and I'm on my phone. I'm also, hold on, let me see if I can find the name of that artist. I think it's Camille. Is it Camille? Let's see, Story, Camille. Singer. Camille? Is there a singer named Camille? Yeah. No. Is that her? Oh, there's lots of singers named Camille. Stories. Okay, that just brought up a bunch of kids' stories. All right, I don't remember her name. And nobody else does either. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Jen saw Dear Evan Hansen in front row. Oh, lucky ducky. Did anybody spit on you? All right. Did they get rid of Hamilton? Oh, no, they didn't get rid of it. Yeah, I heard that cancel culture was wanting to get rid of it. Yeah, the interesting thing about that is that I've talked to, I've seen feedback from Black people, and they love it. If you're here and you are Black, chime in and let me know what you think about Hamilton. Because honestly, their opinions are what matter in this whole thing. That's my personal take on all of that. So I am interested in hearing what they think about that. Not so much about what the white people think about it. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me. This got a little long today, but until next week, fly free. Bye.